Hi guys. Happy Sunday.
Hi everyone.
There's no one here yet.
Yes, there is.
But when you replay it, there is someone
it's Jesus here.
Hey,
I'm just kidding. Not really, but
I'm grumpy today.
She is powerhouse grumpy.
I'm not grumpy. I'm just overwhelmed. I have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, this is like an interrogation
Hi,
room.
Amy.
This is like an interrogation room.
Oh, so what do you mean an interrogation room?
Well, you've never been in one, apparently. I have.
Oh, that's right.
You know, the lights, it's just intense.
You've been in an interrogation room before?
Ooh, more than once, yes. Like 48 hours type deal.
I'm proud of you.
No.
Hi, Sarah. Hi guys.
How we doing?
Happy Sunday. We are just doing our weekly Sunday Instagram live that we are committed to. I did put my account on private today, so that means that... Are you on Tinder? What are you doing?
Don't worry about it.
That means that we won't have a lot of spammers, I hope. And I'm a little overwhelmed today. I'm actually a lot overwhelmed today. I just have a lot of work to do and a lot going on. And I think I need to eat dinner. I woke up later than usual today, like 3 hours later than usual. So now my meals are all off in terms of when I eat them. So, and my new model meals come tonight, but I think they're not going to get here till 8. So I'm like, I really want the new ones.
I want to help you with your food issues, babe. I feel like...
I just wish I would, knew of a chef who could make me dinner or something.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing all day. Been cooking all day, but I don't know.
How are you today, babe?
I'm here to support you in any way I can.
That's nice.
Yeah, even though it's like pulling teeth sometimes. You know? She does not like asking for help.
That's not...
Yeah, I mean, with me, you know, I offer it all the time. And she's, no.
No, I let you help. You just can't help with a lot of the things that I need help with.
I know. It's like asking Michael Jordan to play on your team. Yeah, it's
What are you talking about?
I'm really good at everything. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I'm pretty worn out too. We've been going at it, so.
So yeah, Billy's cooking today for his. He cooks for some. Hi, Blake. That's my brother's here.
Blake, what's up, B?
Blake, are you a graphic designer?
Blake is my favorite friend.
Dad suggested that I ask you to do my graphic design, but I didn't think you actually are just a graphic designer. Anyway, we can have this. This is a family conversation that we can have later. Yeah. But yeah, so we are Brunch Series is next week. It's next Sunday.
Pumped.
We're very excited. Brunch Series on tour, US and Canada tour is happening. I would say 97% happening in April and May. So my brother's too expensive, I figured. Hi Katrina. Oh, Katrina, hi. Hi Maya. Hi Trent. So Brunch Series, yes, Billy is back. Brunch Series, we're coming to Denver for sure. We're going everywhere, you guys. So we're gonna start in Phoenix, go through Texas. We're gonna stop everywhere. We're even going to go up in Toronto and in Canada and all that stuff. So we're going to probably do it via Airbnbs, but we might do RV. So we're trying to figure it out still. But there's a chance that we will probably be in every single city that you live in or somewhere really close. So that's great. Let's talk about Model Meals expansion. Yes, that's happening too. A little slower. We got to get our ass in gear with that, but we are.
I know. Trust me, I'm trying to.
What? Oh, in Canada, Vancouver, Toronto. I think that's probably it. I'm not sure yet, but we'll look. It's going to kind of depend. We're going to have a host submission form, so if people want to host them at their homes, they can. And then for the places that we don't have host volunteers, then we might either rent event spaces.
Do you know what I'm excited about?
What are you excited about?
I am excited to see how we do relationship-wise on a trip like that. We live together, we're always together, but we're on the road, we're working, there's stress, there's excitement. I'm interested to see how we do. I'm pumped. I'm interested
to see if you're going to drive the entire time and I'm going to ever have to drive.
I don't even know why that's even a question in your head because you don't even drive here in the city, let alone on the road.
We don't live in the city.
Well, I drive everywhere.
This light makes my teeth look really white. That's why I keep smiling.
I do not like the way I look in this lighting.
Babe, you're beautiful on the inside and out.
In every single way, right?
In every single way.
Yeah.
How are you today? How are you feeling?
Ooh, I'm... very, very good.
Tell them.
Today has been...
Tell them how you're feeling.
Let me tell you guys. Had what's called a breakthrough. Don't know... that's the funniest name of all time.
What, Pointy?
Yeah.
Oh, my friend Jenna just texted me.
No,
that's
my phone so funny. Pointy.
It's because one time I was drunk in college. This is where this started. And I told her she was my other half. And then we started calling each other 0.5 and 0.5. And then it got shortened to Pointy and then P. And so now we call her each other Pointy. So
that's... hilarious.
Anyway, stupid. Go ahead.
No, been doing really well. I had what's called a breakthrough. Actually, more specifically, it's called a spiritual change. And not that I follow any specific religion. It's just the way I perceive the world and respond to it has drastically changed from the way I used to look at it and react to it. And to be honest with you, I was needing that. I just didn't know how to cultivate it. It just turns out that it was happening all along, and I had to experience certain things that...
You're being really vague.
Dude, I don't know. Look at, okay, so in the big series and everything, like, I'm new to this whole Instagram thing. It's hard to speak on camera sometimes because I'm acting a way that I feel like people want to see, but it is me, but it's a different version. Anyways.
Just do you.
So the real deal is, a good friend of mine, I tried to reconnect after some time apart. I pushed him away because I was super heavy in my addiction and just jealous that he had a life and I was stuck living in a car. And
how long this was like?
This was like over 3 years ago. That's the end towards my addiction, and then so I went to treatment, and I had this blackout period of 10 months where all you did was 10 months recovery and these guys, and it was really heavy and awesome. And plus, I didn't want to come to him when I didn't have some time and like actually mean the apology that I have to give him, because I've said sorry 1,000 times. My words are pretty worthless at this point. Anyways, long story short, a year later, I'm ready to approach it. I approach it, get blown off a couple times. Finally, we connect, and the gist of it all is I no longer want to participate in this relationship because...
Not you. He said that.
My friend said to me, I no longer want to participate in this relationship because it's just too toxic, and my life is going in a different direction. Glad that you're sober, but thank you anyways. And this is like my brother, like grew up for 30 years type brother, and it's hard to take. It's really hard, and instead of using tools that I knew, I immediately wanted to numb out and shut off and push everybody else away. Brought back me feeling terrible, felt worthless, like no good for nothing. It accentuated my perception that I don't have any friends anyways, and all this crazy negative self-talk, it just increased, amplified, and allowed me. It was so overwhelming that for the first time I kept something from her. I didn't tell. She knew everything. Up to this point, she knew everything about me. And in that moment, it hurt so bad, and I was so scared to let the world know that I am brokenhearted because a man that I loved protected him and his family. And I was crushed. So I shut off. I didn't tell her. First thing I ever lied about. And I kept it to myself. Still a lie. And I did what I normally do is I numb it out, but I'm too afraid to go back to my old opiate use and all that kind of stuff. It's just too fucking gnarly. So I reached out for whatever I get my hands on to take the mind off my pain. And long story short, a couple months later, this is what, how long ago did the whole the inactivity start? Like 6 months?
Maybe, yeah.
So about 6 months ago, like I'm still, mind you, the apology happened out when I was a year and a half sober. So it took me 3 months to get in contact with them. Finally did. So now we're a little under 2 years sober, and I'm losing my footing. She saw it in me. She met me, and I was like super, getting after life, working out every day, sponsoring guys, going to meetings, and I stopped all of it, none of it. And although I wasn't using my drug of choice, I reached for whatever I could to numb it out, and I stopped taking action on my life and started making excuses. Back to old behavior. I had no friends. I'm not worthless, dude. My job. All these things started negatively happening because I was perceiving the world and reacting very negatively. Her, being the amazing woman she is, she goes, her first words out of her mouth when I finally said, hey, I fucked up and I lied to you, and this is the situation. Well, I didn't say it. It came about, and then so the situation was there, and her first response to that was, how do we get you back on track and get you safe? Not, how dare you lie to me, let's talk about this. She literally said, we'll put this on hold, whatever, between us until you get okay. And once you're okay, we'll come deal with this. And I'd never known anybody to have that kind of compassion and love. She didn't shame me. She didn't make me feel like a piece of shit. She didn't even really tell me how brokenhearted she was. Because the main focus for all of us and for her was, let me get you okay first. I don't want you to hurt yourself anymore. let's go from there.
Well, addiction isn't personal, and I think that's something I know from my food addiction. Is like when people do things, and here's let me preface, like, he didn't do drugs, he didn't do anything crazy or illegal even, but it was something in
Other
the
things.
sense of like the behaviors were there, right? And so we both are aware that behaviors, even if they're not illegal, are it's a slippery slope with anyone who's been an addict. So, not my story to tell, but what I was just gonna say is that I acknowledge, as the partner to someone who's had addiction, same with my own food addictions, that when people use, it has nothing to do with me, you know?
Yeah, and like when she said that, it literally dropped a 1,000-ton brick of like, I literally, like, she's gonna think I don't love her, she's gonna think I don't want to be with her, like it had nothing to do with her. But somebody who doesn't understand addiction, how do you explain that to them? And, you know, like, but at the same time, that's still not an excuse for me to continue my behavior. So the big point of the story is that we recognized it and we go, okay, as a partner in a team, babe, let's get you back on track. Let's find what you like. Let's move. And yes, I'm sitting here talking. Yes, let's do this. And day after day, I woke up later and I didn't work out. I sat on my phone watching videos, contemplating my big plan for things, you know, and, you know, a cooking job here or there, a catering job here, they'll pop up, you know, which I'm grateful for. But I'm not taking any action. I'm literally just being, you know, and cleaning the house, being a good house partner. But like that's only because I can't fill my time with anything else that's productive. But I'm not understanding what she's meaning by, babe, nothing's changing. Babe, nothing's changing. Like, and what I didn't want to admit to anybody is that I felt her outgrowing me a little bit each day. By a little bit, you know. And then I'd have a day or two where she'd be like, oh, he's back on, he's super motivated, and then the next day nothing. And she was getting frustrated while I was watching her being like slipping away from me, and I was too scared to talk to her about it, because if I did, it makes it real. And now, like, it's a real thing, even though it was already a real thing. So all these things are happening, and I'm not understanding what she's talking about. I'm becoming miserable inside. Like, miserable to the point where I'm either going to get highs on my drug of choice, something super illegal, and I'm not going to feel this because she's going to leave anyway, so let me just start pushing her away. It's too painful, don't want to feel it. Or I'm just going to take off. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to start over again, forget about all this happening. Like, not once did I think that changing my behaviors would alleviate this, which is funny because I just spent 2 years doing it. I was so in my own head and my own problem that I couldn't see it, and I wasn't understanding the advice given. After all this is said and done, we go to Big Bear. We go to Cambria for the weekend, you know, and through that
last
weekend, I am so emotional. I don't stop crying. I feel everything. We talk, but like at the same time, I feel like my body's purging this kind of stuff. I learned I'm trying to handle my emotions, but I can't, and I'm over the top with it, and I don't understand why I don't have a passion for food or people or the program or you know. And this whole time, like, she wants to connect sexually, and how can I connect sexually when I hate myself so much, and I'm going through so much in my head, and I'm not even in the moment enough to perform on a level that, you know, my world's exploding inside. And long story short, things happen, and we're taking, was it 4 days ago when the walk we went on? The beach? Let's return 4 days ago.
Sure.
We go walk on the beach, and I'm just praying in my heart that something comes along that lets me save myself. I can't figure it out. I'm just trying, and we're talking, and I don't know what was different about this day, but dog was here, and her and I were walking, and we started talking just about life in general, and she said a phrase that stopped me in my tracks. She said, you know, every day I wake up and I think to myself, how do I need to live so I don't binge? The way she said it,
I was talking about my self-care checklist, and I said the reason my self-care checklist started, it was this tool for me to know that if I do these things in a day, I don't end up binge eating. And that's what it was.
Yeah, but the way she said it, like, the sun was coming up, her smile, everything was perfect, and she goes, and with all like the earnest, like seriousness, but like you could tell that she was excited in telling me this because she found a way to save herself. And she said, you know, I wake up every day and I say to myself, what's the best way I can live so I don't binge eat? And I instantly connected that with using and my emotions. And so I said to myself, like, how can I live my life every day that prevents me from getting loaded? Because if I'm not loaded, I'm productive, happy, boom, boom, all these things are happening. And in that moment, for some reason, a bag dropped and I became so open and I saw things so clearly for a second. And then, you know, we talked about what I really love, because I realized I love food, but it's not my passion. You know, I connected being good at something with my passion, you know, and it's not necessarily the case. I cooked because it provided me a place where I mattered. Growing up and so much turmoil, growing up and all these things, you know, I felt it didn't matter, it didn't belong, I had no purpose. In the kitchen I did. And if I had picked computers, soccer, anything I'd have picked, I would have done great at. It just so happened that it's food. And over the last couple of months, these catering jobs I'm doing, I like it, but I don't love it. These meal prep jobs I'm doing, I like it, but I don't love it. I love human interaction. And you know what I've been doing is a couple times ago, we were on InstaFeed Live, and I said, you know, I'm really looking forward to going down the journey of being a life coach and health coach, food, life. And so I got a couple clients and doing them for free just so I can get the hang of it and enjoying that. And through that, I'm learning so much. And the connection between people, that's where it's at for me. I want to be like what my girlfriend does and help as many people as I can with my experiences and also what I learn along the way, because I watch her and it is amazing. And so I learned some stuff and I'm enjoying this time, and I bring what I know about food and my view of food and my skills to that and incorporate that in a way that it's unique, and now I love it. And so we talked about, you know, the last couple months we talked about, you know, sharing with other men or teaching other men how to become so vulnerable and self-aware and, you know, understand why we feel what we do and okay to be sad, and, you know, how to connect to women through that, and the beauty of actually being a real mature emotionally and, you know, spiritually man in the modern age. Like, I do a really good job of that. I had some great teachers and I continue to, and, you know, even the big mistake I did have, I learned so much from it that, you know, I grew immensely, and that's not me 3 years ago. And so she mentioned, you know, why don't you start something where you teach men how to be vulnerable and emotional? And I mean, like the modern male, or what was it?
Mindful masculinity.
Mindful masculinity. That, and then when she said that, I go, oh my God, wait a minute. You're telling me that if I be myself, be the best self of me every day, that means I get to keep you. You don't outgrow me. We grow together. I now, for the first time, see something that I'm really passionate about that incorporates everything that I do and everything that I know and everything I'm learning and how I want to live. It's going to be hard, but I can do it.
And you do it every day.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
And then she said, making a brand out of you.
A personal brand.
A personal brand out of the legit, authentic self. Like, how can you go wrong or do it bad or fail? Because that's you. And I never thought about that. And in that moment, it made sense. And I go, oh my God, I can do that. And instantly, my perception of the world changed. The way I felt about the world and the way I experienced it. Anything that I was negative about, instantly turned grateful, because you know what? However bad I feel emotionally, that is a massive tool for me to share with other people about, like, check out how to fix this. Because if I feel it, you feel it, because we're human, you know. And I was so mad at myself for making a mistake by not using the tools, and I turned to something to numb out. Instantly, I realized I'm human, and I'm not co-signing failure or using or nothing like that, but we're human, we're going to fail sometimes, but that doesn't mean I'm a piece of shit, and that doesn't mean I lost all that I work for. It means that I need to be very mindful about when I feel a certain way, danger, shit's going on, you need to do something about it instantly, you know. And so I could have prevented all that, but, you know, I needed to feel that again because I forgot what it was like to be at the bottom, you know. Like, it took me a year and a half to get out of that bottom. I finally get out, and, you know, I wasn't mindful, and emotions hit me, and I went back to the bottom again, emotionally speaking, you know, and that was terrible. But because I have this woman here, sorry, you know, I'm so grateful that she was here, because sometimes I'm learning to love myself, and I do, but in really, really hard, dark moments, I doubt my love for myself, but my love for her is undoubtable. You know, I would give her my last breath, my kidneys. She can have it. I would do that without a question, no hesitation. So it gave me the strength. Like the thought of losing her, I would never forgive myself. So all I needed was help finding a direction to look. She helped me find that direction, and I saw it. And by me walking that walk every day, I don't lose her. That is, now I have my motivation, and then it got me out of my funk, right? You know, the last 3-4 days, I've been so productive, more so than the last 6 months. But I'm firing on all cylinders. Like, the energy in the house is great. I got ideas. I'm putting work in. I'm learning all these things. I'm asking for help, and because I found something that I can do.
Well, I think in general, it's just about the fact that you found something to put your energy into that feels valuable, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, it's easy for me to get frustrated and be like, why don't you wake up and jump out of bed? I stopped it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Wherever, yeah. We'll read the comments in a second, guys. Sorry. But it's easy for me to get out of bed every day and work and get up early and just like put all myself into my work and have a great work ethic because I love what I do. Yeah. Like every part of my businesses feed my big picture, you know? So when you don't have that, yeah, it's hard to find the motivation. So I think for Billy, it was this experience of getting like a lot of clarity on something that was already him. And that was how I started Model Mills too, was like I looked at what I was already doing. And so if you guys are looking for your passion or trying to find that motivation, look at what you're already doing, that you don't need anything else to start. Like you could do it right now and what you enjoy doing. So I think anyway, that was a big piece of it for you, was like figuring out something that you could put your energy into that felt natural and good to you.
Well, so this is the thing. So from meeting her, she is part of a world that I didn't know existed. I come from, you know, very humble beginnings, and I work in kitchens. I work for people. I do a great job helping other people get to their vision. They have the idea, they have the money, and as far as all the work goes and logistics and training guys, like I'm good at that. Never once until I met her did I think, you know, I'm going to work for myself one day. I didn't really feel like that was an option. When people ask me what I wanted to do, dude, I want to open up restaurants with other people's money. Never take the chance or do anything for myself. It was always working for somebody else. And so I meet her, and she's part of this world where you own your own things, you're creative, you're doing all these things, and it's such the other side of the coin from what I did. And so, like, in the beginning, playing catch up with her, like, she's got her own business, and her friends are, you know, businesses, and the money here, and here I am, like, I'm just out of treatment, and I'm just trying to figure out life, and I tried to fight it, but, like, I felt living in I felt like I was living in a shadow. Not that she made me feel that way, but just because I couldn't grasp what they were talking about. And instead of like embracing them, I put a wall up and said, you know, this is what I do. I'm tough. You know, I was nice about it, but like I definitely hid behind a mask. And in those moments, choosing to embrace that I don't know everything, and it's okay. But she's asking me to do these things, get out of bed, find what you love, and it's hard when you go from I was doing that every day prior to the incident, and then when you lose all your confidence in yourself, like it was so devastating. Like I couldn't do these things. I was hurting, but it was just I didn't understand why I felt the way I did. So it was just, I don't know. I'm long-winded today, but I'm just super emotional.
Okay. I think people enjoyed hearing that. And I'm glad you shared. I didn't know you were going to share your whole thing.
I thought this was what you wanted.
No, I thought you were just going to tell them about mindful masculinity.
They got to know where it came. Yeah. Okay, so I'm a little long-winded today, but I'm super excited. You know,
I'm glad you did. I think it's important.
You get me excited, and I don't know. I just.
Oh, do what?
Yeah, let me tell you. You know, to be able to have that, my drive and motivation back and belief in myself, if she helped me with that, like, you know, I'm forever grateful again, you know? And so, I don't know. I'm so excited that I know what I want now. I'm pumped. And, you know, it was enough pain. I don't want to go back. And so I'm going to make sure I'm held accountable and work my ass off every day so that doesn't happen. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think in terms of like dealing with addiction and anyone who's been, so Billy has been in recovery for
I've been trying to get sober for the last 15 years, but recently just the last 2 years, yeah.
Sober essentially for the last 2 years, except for this little incident, which, I mean, why don't you just tell them like,
you guys know, okay, this is so stupid. I smoked a joint, right?
Which doesn't seem like a big deal.
But listen,
unless you're in recovery, and then you understand.
It is, because it's either I'm sober or I'm not. But the thing is that, like, it doesn't matter how I acquired it, but, like, prior to me acquiring it, like, it was at a very chill event, you know, and it had just came a little after I found out this whole thing with my friend. So if I had told her that I'm in a lot of pain and I'm feeling this way, that joint would have came along and be like, no, I'm good. Like, I would have worked enough to where, like, I'm working through it. But instead I kept it in. My secrets keep me sick. And I knew that when I get a chance to, I'm gonna numb out. I'm too afraid to just stand up and tell people, that's what I want to do. I'm gonna go, no, I want to keep me sick, and nobody wants to know, and I kept it for myself. But had I been honest, the story would have been different.
So yeah, it wasn't anything crazy, obviously. You know, he smoked a joint, which people do all freaking day, and it's actually legal now.
It was really
sure.
strong.
But when you're in recovery and your issue was always numbing out and using things to quiet your mind, that becomes a trigger or a slippery slope, and that's where the fear comes in. And I know as your partner, there's this fine line as anyone who deals with someone with addiction, and I deal with addiction as well, so it goes both ways. But it's really hard to know the difference between like helping someone and what's the word I'm looking for? Enabling someone. And you don't know. Well,
this is the thing. Had I been honest with her and said, look, babe, I'm hurting. I just got a joint. No matter what you say, I'm sorry, I'm going to smoke right now. This is why I'm doing it. And I'm honest about what I do. Again, that's a different conversation, because she knows where I'm at. She knows where it's coming from. And we can deal with honesty and truth. Like, how can you get mad at that? You cannot agree with something, but it was the fact that from the jump, I kept it to myself. I didn't involve her. I didn't let her come into my world, and I separated us. And, you know, if I was just honest about what I do, you know, and it didn't be a different story. But I wasn't. I was just lying and didn't tell anybody, and that's not okay. She deserves better than that. And frankly, I should respect myself enough not to do that. Anywho, yeah, I smoke weed and it's terrible. But, yeah, dude, you don't even know. It's all bad.
I knew because he was texting me and none of it made sense.
All bad. I texted a bunch of people that didn't make sense. Like, well, like, I remember that, but, like, I went through the stages of smoking weed, so, like, you know,
when you don't smoke weed and you smoke weed,
well, it was super
like
strong,
crazy.
So, like, I went to the initial, like, oh, I miss this, smells so good, put some music on, to, like, oh, it's hot, and I'm eating a lot, and the next thing I know, I'm panicking, super, like, the fear sets in, and I'm like, oh my god, everybody knows already, and so I'm, like, trying to, I remember texting people, but when I looked, the next day I looked, and what I was thinking is not what I was texting. No. And I was so afraid. I felt people, like, they knew I was high, everyone's coming, so I got to cover it was just all bad. All bad.
Yeah.
So,
but I do want to take this opportunity, though, to congratulate him, because he has been sober. He was, I mean, can I say what you were using before?
Listen, in 2 years, I got loaded one time, but I spent the last 25 years using heroin. So the fact is, in these 2 years, I've not used heroin. Like
that's a huge accomplishment.
See, this is
I'm trying to make sure that I know it's black and white. I know it's sobriety, and people will argue different things. But, like, I think there's still room. Yeah, maybe we're not going to call you sober for 2 years, but we can celebrate the fact that you haven't used illegal drugs or anything like in 2 years.
This is the thing. A huge accomplishment. Yes, and so, like, the program Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's really hard to talk about this because when you grow up in the program and you're aware and you're awake about it, like, you know, it's black or white. Either you are or you aren't, you know. But for me, you know, like, everything that's happened, I realized, like, first of all, I'm human and I'm going to make mistakes, you know. If I make that same mistake continuously, I'm a fool. Like, that's my fault, and it's completely on me. But I'm not co-signing, you know, breaking your sobriety for any reason, but, like, you're human, so if you're not careful, it will happen, you know. So, with that being said, I think if your life is happy, joyous, free, you're a contributing member to your family, your society, and you're being honest about all that stuff, and, you know, whatever makes your life happy and good, that's you, you know. Like, I know that I can't consume substances without them really affecting me. You know, that's just me. Like, some people can just smoke weed. Apparently I can't. And
no, you definitely
no, but, like, that's the thing. But the lesson in my life is that if I'm honest about what I'm doing, like, hey babe, I want to get loaded. Like, okay, cool.
Communicate. Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
Now we can talk about why, and, like, if you still want to after we talk, then that's on you. You know, she may not be here afterwards, but, like, I can't get mad at you for being honest, you know, and living your life like with integrity and honesty, and the person I care about the most in this world, like being transparent of like, this is what's going on with me. You know?
And it did wake up in me too a lot of like self-awareness around my food issues, because I was in Overeaters Anonymous and struggle with food addiction, and I really do, the depths of some of that pain and how I was using food was exactly like any drug addict or alcoholic was. And so I have to remember that like I can't, if I'm going to be as hard on him with his recovery, then I need to be really aware of it when I'm using food to numb, because he doesn't have the option. His is like black and white, which in some cases makes things easier, but I'm allowed to use my drug like a little bit every day if I really want to. So it made me just really cognizant of how I was using food and making sure that I wasn't being a hypocrite. What are you doing?
I have like a zit in my neck.
Don't pop
Sorry.
it in the...
I forgot I was on TV. I forgot I was on TV.
On TV.
Yeah.
Now for the commercial break.
No.
So anyway, yeah.
Well,
do you want to read the comments? Sorry,
yes. Sorry, I'm getting excited. Go ahead, read the comments. I was gonna say something I forgot. What was I gonna say?
Okay, you guys are so cute. All the best to you. Both of you are so independent, strong. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I know what I was gonna say. Is the fact that I do not, you know, your program's black and white, but without that happening, I would not have come to the realization that I did today, I think. You know, everything happens for a reason. I'm not saying that go get loaded and watch the magic happen, but it did happen nonetheless. And I learned very, very clearly that, like, I need to live honestly in all things that I do. If I'd have done that, you know, things would have been different. So that, I learned something big. I'm glad it happened. I didn't lose too much. But, you know, be honest, kids. I'm sorry. That's all I had.
Billy, what's
cool? Oh, potatoes! Give it back.
He's cooking. Okay, so we'll answer some of these, and then Billy, what school did you go to study culinary arts? He went in San Francisco to culinary school. You guys are so sweet. Thank you. And I know this kind of turned into just kind of some storytelling today, but I know it's important. And for anyone who is struggling with addiction, I feel you and I support you, and there is such a beautiful life on the other side of that. So for me and my food addictions,
what I miss,
life is so different now, and it's so incredible. And I've just found, and I shared today, my post today was all about kind of that journey for me, and finding this sort of peace with food in the portion control, and like learning that's sort of this next phase for me, because you can binge eat vegetables. It's not just about changing what you eat. You have to pay attention to how and why. So for me, it's just a fine line of continuing to practice that awareness. So
motives behind everything, people.
So, everyone's so sweet and supportive. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Just everyone being really sweet.
Quick question. So, along with the fact that I'm going to be going down this modern, mindful, masculinity, male deal, I don't know how to post on the internet. Like, I don't know. I'm learning that too. Like, I feel stupid sometimes. So, any pointers you guys have about, like, you know, topics that you want to hear, or like how I go, I'm open for suggestion, and I would love any help anybody wants to send my way. And also, I am going down that self care, you know, life coach road. So if you guys want to, anybody wants some free going down that road, let me help you get to your goals. We can talk about what that looks like, just for me getting some practice, maybe.
See, people are already asking.
Yeah, like I want to help as many people as I possibly can, because I get so much from it, and I feel like I have a unique avenue in life. So
that's what you do. You practice. So you say, hey, I'm new to this, so take my advice and everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But this experience, and he's been coaching someone for the last few months, and it's just been beautiful, and they've become really good friends.
Oh man, it was so funny, because when I had this clarity a couple of days ago, I have trouble getting close to people, like in my personal life, and I had this new epiphany and this new direction. I was so excited, and the first person I called was the person that I am coaching, because, you know, I wanted to show them, like, hey, perspectives can change, you know. And I wanted to show them something, but also, like, I enjoy them as a person, you know. And I get that's not typical for a traditional relationship, but, you know, just something so good came from it. So anybody wants to try down the road, holler at your boy.
We are man enough. People are saying you have to look that up. We are man enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone said,
DM me.
How did we meet? Tinder.
There was this. Okay, so there was an accident on the freeway.
That's not true. No? Whatever he's gonna say is not true.
Burning car.
You guys are so cute, and like reading through all these comments really quick, and just everyone being super supportive of your story. And
and she kept telling me all along that like to tell my story, you know, and through that, you know.
It's an incredible story.
I just didn't believe that anyone would care. Like, yes, it's a shock. Oh, guys, sober and this and that. But like, you know, deep down, I didn't cultivate enough self-love to be like proud of where. I mean, I'm proud of me now, but like, leading up to this point, man, you'd be surprised how much self-doubt that we have that we mask as other things. You know, so it's just like all that shit dropped, and like I'm super excited to go down this road.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things, like when our first date, he told me all of this.
Ooh.
He told me everything.
Okay, so side note, I've created 5 tips that will help any man.
Stop! No,
I'm not gonna tell him. I'm not gonna tell him what it is. But the thing is that from the jump, for the first time in my life, I said, look, I'm gonna tell her everything about me, who the real me is, and let her decide. You know, because I can give the old song and dance and he's so hot and this thing is so boom, and next thing you know, like we're dating and you did what? You live where? Like, and then now we have an issue, you know. So I figured if she stayed with the story I gave her, like,
well, I think the only reason that it worked is we both had spent the last like couple years, I guess, working hard on ourselves to learn our feelings, to learn to feel our feelings, to express them properly. And I know addiction. Like I lived it. I have my own addictions, and so I understand that I understand addiction in the sense of like it's how we've learned to take the edge off in most cases. It's an actual, you know, and so I understood that because he had done the work to communicate his feelings and feel them and process them, that he was in authentic healing. And like, are we ever totally healed? No, I don't think so. I'm sure I'll always manage my food in some capacity, but I knew that the foundational stuff had changed, and he'd put in like those layers of work to really change how he reacted to feelings that there were things that he didn't want to feel, to discomfort, I guess, in general.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. I agree with this with people. It doesn't matter why you do something. And what I mean by that is like, I started learning how to be open and vulnerable, all that stuff. Like, I learned how to do that because I saw other people do it, and the people they did it with, they stayed and they had friendships, and I wanted that. So I said, okay, if I start talking about myself and being honest, people will stay. My whole life, I adapt very quickly how I protect myself, and I watch a lot of things. So I emulate people. I see people with a lot of close friends, and I watch them and do what they do. So I started doing it out of, this will get people to stay. And little did I know that would turn into a skill that saved me and helped me, and it's a real amazing gift to have. It started out for a very selfish reason, but it turned into something very good. So, you know, it doesn't matter why you start doing the good things, just they'll become habit.
You guys are awesome. Okay. Danika, do you life coach? I do coaching. It's getting a little crazy though, which I'm so stoked about, but I also have to make sure that I have the energy and time to give to the people who want coaching from me. So I have to kind of set some boundaries there. So I'm organizing that right now.
This girl's like a home run workhorse, man. Every day she's coming with a new idea and helping this, doing this.
Problem.
It really, honestly, like it.
Kind of a problem.
Today, I'm gonna tell about the argument today. Do you mind?
No, I don't care.
Oh, so today we're talking about, you know, just she's overwhelmed, this and that, and I was like, you know, babe, you know, I'm in branding myself. You've done it before, and you know, I was saying, do you mind if I know you're busy, but can we carve out some time when you're slower, like an hour or so, to, you know, maybe answer some of my questions? I don't know if I didn't deliver the message right, but.
Well, he was like, when you're slower, I was like, babe, I'm not slower.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, there's not like a slow period. There's just like, we just have to schedule it in.
Sure. But what I was getting at was like, babe, I know you're busy, but I would like to schedule an hour so I could go over some questions I had about branding myself in life. You've done it so many times for so many people. Like, and we had started having this conversation, and it felt very much to me like she was talking to a roommate.
I was kind of a bitch.
Yeah, she was a bit. Talking to a roommate or a client or a friend, and almost as if like, I wanted to scream like, babe, you're my lover, my partner. Like, I'm not. There was an issue there, and for a minute I got really sad, you know. And I was like, she's so evolved in her work that like I'm another person she works with, not her lover and her friend.
And we talked about it after, because I definitely, like, I realized my wrong. Like, I totally realized my wrong. Of course, like, I'm willing, I'm always willing to help you. And I think because I have so many things on my plate right now, it felt really stressful for me to, like, feel like I was committing to something else. And I wasn't thinking through the actual relationship of what it was. I was literally, like, black and white, seeing this as another project that felt like something that I couldn't take on. And so I had to step back and kind of, thought through it. I started crying, and
well, it was cool because
I felt really bad.
No, I understand after everything I put her through, like, and all this other stuff. I just, in that moment, I felt kind of an abandonment from a relationship. Like, I'm no longer her boyfriend. I'm this. I felt abandonment, and instantly I'm like, how can I protect myself? Because she's already grown past me. She's outgrown me. She's lying to me. Like, all this whole thing happened, and I thought, no, that's not true. How about I tell her I love her and try to explain what's going on and ask her why we feel it. We had a great conversation.
He's so good about it, you guys. Yeah. He is so good about saying, this is how you made me feel. This is why I'm saying this. And I'm kind of stubborn. If it takes me a little bit longer, I'm usually just quiet and trying to win. And then eventually, like, I get a second, he'll walk away, and then I feel really bad. And I go in and I start crying because I feel like I hurt him. Well, I'm getting there.
It's such a funny dynamic between us both, and it's teaching me so much. But it's also very scary because I've never been in a relationship like this, and like with me, whatever she asks me to do, I will take care of as best I can, as quick as I can, no questions asked, because I want to provide her, make her life as easy as possible. And I know she feels the same way to me, but sometimes I forget the things that she needs, like I'm not as busy as she is at the moment yet. And, there's so much fundamentally different about us, like in our lifestyles, but we're growing together, and it's just been such an experience. And, I've never been with a woman who's so powerful. Like the Stedman. I'm Stedman in this Oprah, right? Seriously, think about that.
I love what you said.
Okay, I will. I'll tell them my goal. So look at this
Our
girl.
model meals are almost here. I just got the text.
That's cool. So
it's really cool.
Effectively, she's Oprah and I'm Stedman, right? Like this, she's a massive success. And when I met her, I just got out of treatment. I'm trying to find myself, and I
was living in my parents' garage.
Yeah, but you also had a multi-million-dollar company.
No, you didn't. Not
okay, Model Mills was firing last year. Anyways, the thing is, super successful. She put the work in way before I met her, and she's reaping the benefits, and she's on to the next big thing, and out of treatment, and I'm already like, oh my God, this girl's so successful. She's so hot. I don't want to let her go. Like, I got to grow quick, and I put so much pressure on myself, and then 2 years later, this is all happening. And then I had the moment of clarity, and I'm having all these ideas, and I'm feeling great. And we were walking home, and I realized I have a new goal. My goal is to make her one day be sitting there and realize, like, oh, I'm Stedman. He's Oprah. Like, that's my new fucking goal. I'm gonna flip the script, and I'm, this is a joke, but like, instead of being
Stedman is lovely.
Instead of being intimidated by all this success around me, I put my ego down, I embraced it, put my love for you out there, and now I'm hungry to just run with you. Not in front or behind, just run with you. Because she doesn't care how much money I make. She doesn't care how many businesses I own. She cares that I'm putting the most effort into me that I can every day. And that's what I wasn't seeing. She was caring about my journey, not my destination. Didn't care where I go, as long as on that walk, I'm honest, open, transparent, and I'm putting into me the most I can. And when I really understood that she wanted me to have my journey, the way I chose to live day by day my life, that was the key, not where I was going. I didn't need to find anything other than, how do you want to live today's life? Because if I live doing the best I can, most effort into me, that means I'm putting her first. And in my program, and all these things are a byproduct of me putting the most effort into me every day as I can.
And we even talked about this week, like, because you've been practicing self-care the last few days, and you've been in that, you've given me such a better version of you. Like, I've gotten laid more times than usual. But really, like, you've been in such a happier mood, and so much more of like a pleasure to be around. And it's a reminder that when we practice self-care for ourselves, a lot of people think it's selfish to practice self-care. It's a reminder that allows you to be the best version of you for the people you love. So, like, don't ever feel guilty about that.
No, I have been so happy that the fact that for me, when I it finally made sense that it's how I live my life. It's the fact that, you know, regardless of how I feel, I wake up with my girlfriend. And this is the thing. I was always so mad at her these last couple months because I maybe work late a couple nights a week and I want to sleep in and she gets up early and then like by the time I'm up she's doing her thing and like I feel like we're not connecting and all this shit. And I was like, she only wants to hang out in the morning. That's bullshit. And when I realized the fact that she's always said her best self is in the morning. Her best hours are in the morning. And she's literally putting time for me to connect with me in the mornings when she's her best self, and I have the nerve to sleep in. You know, she's saying, hey, I'm here for you. The best of me is here. Because tonight it's not going to be as quality. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to sleep. And I never saw it that way. And when I did, I thought, oh my God, I've been slapping her in the face every morning. Like, she's literally out there waiting for me to come be with her and share with her. And I wasted an hour in bed. You know, and she still stayed. You know, she's so patient with me to come around because her belief that I could change and there's better me inside, like, that gave me, honestly, like, the strength to, like, push through the wall. And she stayed. She didn't leave. And I didn't think she would. And because everybody usually leaves. That's my belief. You know, and she stayed. And I've been so, like, I will never take advantage or not be grateful for her and what I'm given. I will wake up early every morning for her. You know, like, I will, you know, but in doing it for her, I do it for myself. And in doing it for myself, like, now we got some real change. And I'm just so grateful for her.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're on fire today, babe.
I know. And that's the thing. Since that happened and I dropped all that shit and we made a decision, like, ideas are flowing, like, because you told me I'd just be me and brand me, and how could I go wrong?
Exactly.
But I got to be sober, and I got to be focused, and I got to be...
You have to put in the work every day.
Yeah, that's the thing, like...
Every morning.
I can't... There's no, you know... Got to be honest, got to live transparent, you know?
And I told him, I was like, it's the big belief for me with affirmations, like, changing your thought process every morning. So like, waking up, and even on the days you don't feel good or you feel like shit, like, tricking your brain into thinking you're that person that you want to be, or that you're super productive, or that you're creative, or you're great at branding, or whatever. So anyway,
and I was letting how I felt drive my life, and, you know, feelings are not fact. They would change, you know, and so, like, no matter how I feel, I could still get up and do the work and wait for the feeling to pass. You know, I'm so excited to earn back the trust and, like, awe factor I used to have when she used to look at me because I was kicking ass.
I still look at you
that way. Between the trust and the inactivity and indecision, just sitting there wasting my life away for a second, like, you lose a little luster for somebody because it's like, I knew a better version of you, you know, like, you can't go back now. And her fear of me... It
didn't make me love you.
No, I know, but it takes the luster from somebody, because if you're not your best self and you're not willing to put the effort in yourself, like, you're not doing it to me.
I've not been my best self this entire relationship. I'll tell you that.
Dude, what I'm saying is I'm just excited I finally believe that I can earn back anything that I lost between us and then fill it with some really great shit. So, like...
that good shit.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, our model meals are here.
Okay, well,
I'm so hungry.
what's
okay, guys, I don't think we're gonna be able to get to
questions today. What do you have to do right now?
I'm starving. I usually eat dinner like 3 hours before. You can. I'm gonna go heat up food. I'm just kidding. Okay,
I'll take over.
Okay.
Who needs her?
Okay.
Nobody wants her anyways. It's my show right now. Bring me some cakes, woman. Just kidding. I don't really talk like that to her. All right, hold up. This is intense. How's everybody doing? You know, I'm going to skip to the end right now. And so any new questions will come to me. All right, guys. How we doing? All right. Billy, do you have any book suggestions for addicts who are rebuilding their lives? Absolutely, I do. Okay, so obviously the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Even if you're not an alcoholic, you're a drug addict. Heroin was my thing. I haven't drinking in like 20 years. If alcohol is your thing, I mean, it doesn't matter what your thing is. Alcoholics Anonymous is a great start. But the thing is, you got to read that with somebody who has done it. Otherwise, you may relate to some things, but you won't get the real power of it. Eckhart Tolle was a huge tool as far as like when you start that road to be present and mindful and being within yourself, for me, it was a lot to handle. Like I couldn't grasp fully some of the concepts. I had to ask for help with people who've done it. Paul Coelho, a couple different books. Yeah, a lot of good stuff out there. Hold on a second, I missed it. Great shit can be TV if you're keeping cuss. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cuss. I apologize. The Billy brand. That's funny. Good for him. Your boyfriend. That's phenomenal. I mean, anybody that the Power of Now. That's what it is. Yeah. Power of Now. Also, like Danika has turned me on to a lot of the Tim Ferriss books and self care. Really, in my opinion, I think a lot of people. Just pick something and read it. Like ask for suggestions. A lot of people waiting for that perfect book or the answer to life to come along and like just act on it, on anything. Fall forward. That's one of my favorite things. Is like this big mistake I made. Yes, I fell, and a lot of things happened because of it. But I fell forward. At least looking back, I did now. I sat in it for a little bit, but like I learned so much from it. Favorite easy meal. I'm a huge fan. I love steel cut oatmeal, almond butter, unsweetened coconut flakes, and a little bit of fresh apple. Maybe some honey if you're feeling randy. Trying to encourage... you should try to encourage him. Well, technically, I've been sober for... I was sober for 2 years. But if you black and white account my weed mistake, which I do feel it's a mistake in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I do believe like your time starts over. But that doesn't take away from what I learned. And it's so hard to have an opinion on the situation because it sounds like I'm co-signing some bad behavior because I've always believed that it is black or white. Either you are sober or you aren't sober. And, you count your time from the last day of usage, any mind-altering substance. But coffee's mind-altering, nicotine's mind-altering. Like, so where does that end and begin? Also, like, today, I'm the happiest and more focused I've ever been. And, I smoked weed, a couple weeks ago, and so I'm having a hard time really buying it. I believe recovery is bigger than the program Alcoholics Anonymous. I believe AA, NA give you an amazing platform to learn how to live differently. I also think there's room for evolution in that. But I know I can't have mind-altering substances. If I'm not mindful, if I don't continue a spiritual way of life and, honestly trying to be the most transparent, best self I could be, I will cause pain. And if I keep secrets, I cause pain. Pain equals to I'm going to use drugs. That's the simple and plain fact. I don't know another way. So I have to change the way I live life. Up there, you said we totally do all the branding for mindful masculinity. Really? Alphabet Pizza, DM me and let's talk. I'm so into it. Tom Brady, that's so sweet. Yes, I do meditate. So, tip for meditation, I think super, super easy. Not easy. Meditation is simple. It's just not easy at times because learning to quiet your head and your heart and your mind's going a million miles an hour. You're thinking about what you did yesterday. That was a mistake. You think about the future, so like you're never really present. I think for me,
Did I distract you?
No, learning to be still at first. You don't need to do meditation perfect. If you can sit still for 15 minutes with your eyes shut, regardless if your head's going 100 miles an hour, start there. Just learn to sit with yourself. The reason we can't meditate is because when we're quiet like that, we're faced with our real selves. We feel everything, and we don't want to feel that. So start with sitting with yourself, and then, go through a guided meditation, and maybe start with 5 minutes, and then you do 5 minutes every day and let it build. You don't have to be Mahatma Gandhi from the jump. You know what I mean? Like you can work up to that. It's okay. Meditate. Learn to sit with yourself.
Do you want food?
No, they said we're Tom Brady and Giselle.
Oh yeah, totally.
Love it. Favorite mom.
You want dinner?
You've been doing Audible when I'm in my.
Dinner?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I've been doing Audible. I'm gonna start listening to self-help books. Yeah, dude. Honestly, the Audible is dope. I just started doing that.
Look who's here, guys.
You should share your vegan recipes on our website. So this is the thing.
I got you, but I'll get you.
When I started when I got out of treatment, I had this great idea for culinary recovery. I'm going to change the way people in recovery eat. That was my big grand plan, and it still is to some capacity, but I think it's evolved a little bit.
You say hi?
So I have a website for culinaryrecoveryfoods.com. It was my first one I ever did, but now that I've found a direction that I want to commit myself to and a brand, I'm going to redo all of that. But I still keep it,
You're hiding Kingsley.
Kings,
You see him? He's very handsome. Babe,
I got tons of vegan recipes, guys.
You're blocking
Tons.
him. Just let him say hello.
What do I most appreciate about Danika regarding your recovery?
Babe, let him say hello.
Well, I'm asking him questions. He's right there.
You want to say hi to him?
He's right there. See him.
Yeah, bud.
He doesn't care. You let her leave for this one. What do I appreciate most about Danika regarding my recovery? Easy. When it finally came to light that I had gotten loaded and made a mistake, and in turn, I got honest about there was some lying involved. Of course, I wasn't honest about stuff, and I sitting in front of the woman who I love more than I air. I every minute I enjoy with her more than I could imagine, and she's my best friend, my partner, and I had not lied to her about anything until then. She's sitting in front of me and faced with the fact that I've lied, I got loaded, all these things happened. Her first response was, I know it's not personal, babe, and we're not talking about this now. What do we need to do to get you okay? Once you're okay and well, then we'll talk about it. I was like, wait, what? Like, are you fucking for real? Excuse my language, but like, are you for real? Like, you didn't shame me. You loved me. You showed me some compassion and empathy. And you said, put how I feel on hold because we're going to deal with you first. Make sure you're okay. She was so selfless in that moment. Anybody else, I would have been like, how dare you? Like, her selflessness was moving. And I knew at that moment that if I'm going to lose her if I don't change. And that was the most kind thing anyone's ever done for me. Mostly when I relapse or I do something wrong like that, everybody shames, how dare, I can't believe you, oh, I expected it from you. I always get shamed for doing that. Everyone's so disappointed with me, I'm such this and that. And that feels even terrible on top of everything. And she's the first person that didn't make me feel like that. And for that, I was forever grateful. And, it's one of a kind. Hey guys, did you only smoke it once? You feel back in control again? All right, let me tell you this. So I never liked weed in the first place. I'm an opiate kind of guy for sure, but I'm really scared to go back to that because I've told a lot of people. So keep this between you and me. But before I got sober this time, I made a really big mistake and got 2 strikes, 2 violent crime, 2 strikes at one time. Right? I was really messed up and I made a bad choice, which in turn got somebody hurt and I got massively in trouble for it. The judge said, look at Bill. Like by the time I saw the judge the first time, I got out on bail and I would argue I was already 10 months clean before I saw him the first time. And so I saw him and they invited everyone from the treatment centers here and, this is what I'm doing, sir. And he was really happy that I went to treatment on my own before I saw him so he didn't have to tell me to get sober. So after everything's said and done, he goes, look at Bill, you're going to sign to these 2 felonies. I'm glad you're doing all this change. You look great every time I see you. But I'm going to give you 5 years in prison. But I'm also going to put that on hold and put you in jail for 30 days. I'm going to charge you some fines. And I'm going to put you on 3 years probation. And in that 3 years, if I ever see your face in this courtroom again for any type of violent crime, I will give you 5 years that day and boom, you're over and done with. I believe you want to change, so here. You're going to have this over your head, and this is a little taste of what you'll get, but if you stay the course, I will get rid of these for you. So that was pretty heavy stuff to take. So the reason I'm talking about that is that what scared me the most is that I got a small taste of what it's like to numb out your feelings. It's not as intense as what I usually do, but I was afraid that like that was going to start the whole cycle again. And but you know, I addressed why I wanted to numb. I figured that out. I shared it with some people, and then I got recommitted to myself, and I have a plan. So I'm not afraid anymore.